Hello and welcome back to Podium Pop. My name is Celine. I'm here with my co-host Gracie. And it was a very big week in motorsport. We had the Monaco Grand Prix for Formula One, as well as the Indy 500. We will be talking about both of them this week, but in this specific episode, we will be focusing on Monaco and Formula One. Mm-hmm. We have a lot to talk about. But before we get started, make sure you go follow us on, what?
Oh, I just said big weekend.
Big weekend. She's muttering over there. Before we get started, make sure you go follow us on social media. We post on TikTok, on Instagram, and we post every week, hopefully every week, on Spotify and on YouTube, our full-length podcast episodes. Mm-hmm. Let's pop the bottle and let's get right on into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I will say, you definitely had a better handle on Formula One this week, specifically Friday, than I did, because I was at CARB day for IndyCar. So from practice 1 and practice 2, you're going to be kind of doing the heavy lifting there.
I'd love to. But first we need to talk about how they tried to make Monaco better.
They did their
question mark.
Yeah, they did their best.
In past years, obviously, the Formula One cars are just too big to be raced around this Monaco circuit. They fit, but there's no passing abilities because these cars are so big. They'll just crash into each other.
Yeah, modern day Formula One is not.
Yeah.
Like, they haven't changed the track to adapt to modern day Formula One cars.
But they also can't because
they can't. Yeah. It's literally streets. It's a street circuit.
Yeah.
But because of that, it's basically impossible to pass people.
Formula E came and flexed on Formula One this morning and was like, here are over 100 overtakes in the Formula E cars around Monaco.
Yeah, they ate them up for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's possible. Just the F1 cars are too big for the track this year. So they try to change it up and switch things up and make it better, by making it a two-stop, mandatory two-stop race. So all the cars had to make 2 pit stops, change their tires. And it didn't work. We'll get into that when we talk about the race, but it just didn't work. So there was a lot of going into this weekend, what's the strategy going to be? How are we going to do this? How are they going to work with safety cars and yellow flags and virtual safety cars? And it was stressful.
It was still...
But it didn't change much.
It was still very stressful.
Yeah. Let's talk about the free practices. Right off the bat, free practice 1 was wackadoodle.
I was getting text updates and I was like, what's happening? Wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
What happened just now? It was stressful. Also, not even being able to watch it.
No, it was wackadoodle time. Immediately, Charles in free practice 1 went off into the runoff area. Didn't hit the barrier or anything. It's there for a reason. It's just a lockup or something. And then Max did the same thing in free practice 1. Free practice 2. Oh, I didn't watch the first part of free practice 2, and I come home. Oscar hit the wall.
All I got was a message from Gracie saying, "Uh-oh, Oscar in the wall." I said, "Is he still there? Is he out? Is he okay? What's going on? How's the car?"
And Isaac also had an incident on Friday, and Oscar's he hit the wall on his front wing. It was so funny. And then he had to drive back without a front wing, and it just looked so silly. Everybody that everybody's fine. But I was going into it, I was like, oh my god, if this is what's happening in free practice 1 and free practice 2, what is this race going to be like?
Stressful?
Yeah. And the whole weekend, you could kind of see that with McLaren, that Lando in the free practices had a little bit of a better handle on it than Oscar had, which is for the past 5 races not been the case.
Yeah, and even Oscar talked about how he was struggling in the whole weekend, really, and he kept nudging the walls. Well, one time he was in the wall, but the rest of the weekend, throughout the weekend, even during the race, he was struggling with keeping it away from the walls, where Lando definitely did not have that issue. And I think it just comes down to Lando's just had more experience with this track. It is Oscar's third time at this track, but still, or third time in Formula One at this track. But Lando definitely has more seasons under his belt. I don't know if that's
I think it's just
consideration, or
yeah, it might be a little bit. I also think you just have to be so close to the line around this track to execute the most out of it. And we'll talk about it in qualifying, but Lando did it flawlessly.
Oh my god, what a beautiful lap!
Well, we also finally saw this weekend the Ferraris come alive, And I think everybody was like
shocked.
What? No,
where the hell did they come from?
Where did they come from? We were like texting, and we have like our college friends and extended friend group, like we're all texting. And our one friend Ryan, we talk about all the time. He was like, "Are we back? Can I hope? Can I be delusion?" And I was like, "Ryan, I think you might be back. I hate to say it, but you might be back."
Let's start. He's been loyal throughout the whole thing. But he's definitely been. There's been times where he's like, "Guys, I don't think that we're gonna be able to. We're not gonna win or whatever." He goes, "Never doubted him for a second."
Yeah, no, nope. You never doubted him, not at all. Yeah. So that was like pretty crazy. Charles, like I said, topped the times the whole weekend. I was kind of looking like, can he do it again, Charles?
Everyone. Even me, like, I was not like excited about it because obviously I'm a McLaren fan, but like I was anticipating if Charles were to come and win any race this whole season, I was like, it's going to be Monaco. Yeah. One, because of his sheer willpower. But also because like the man knows the streets. He's been around those streets of Monaco his whole life.
He's been around the block a few times.
Yeah, no, like literally. I was like, he's going to do it. It's so important to him, and it's so special to him. Yeah. Like, I was like, surely I'm not, obviously I'm a McLaren fan, and Ferrari is one of our, direct competitors, up there, like with Red Bull and Mercedes. So while I'm never like excited to see them win, I will say that if anyone other than McLaren were to win Monaco, I would have wanted it to be Charles.
I struggle to do that.
Yeah, you do.
I really struggle to do that.
Especially Ferrari.
Like, well, sorry. But like, even, like, well, I love Max regardlessly, but I don't know. Home races, I'm like, yeah, they're like, no, I don't know. It's for Orlando to win.
Yeah, that's so fair.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, going into qualifying, everyone was kind of like, but I don't know. Lando looked so strong all weekend. I woke up to watch FP3, and then I was just like, tapping on my phone to try and pull it up to watch. And then I fell back asleep, and then I woke up and saw Charles was in P1. I was like, oh, okay, he's going to get pulled in a couple hours.
No, literally, like, it was like P1, P1, P1.
Yeah.
And for qualifying, we're like, okay, well, hopefully we get P2, P3. Yeah. Like, that's what we were hoping for.
Have you seen the Twitter theory? That sounds like negative. That, like, when Lando gets P1 in free practices, he doesn't get pole. It's just been this year. So, like, everybody was like, woo, Lando doesn't have P1, thank God.
Wow, that's so interesting, though.
I did happen to notice it, and then I saw people talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, that's very interesting.
So we go into qualifying. Qualifying, like, terrifying. I just get all these...
Because qualifying is pretty... I wouldn't say more important, but almost as important. Maybe slightly more important than the actual race for Monaco specifically. Because, again, as we talked about before, there's pretty much no overtaking in Monaco. No. If you do overtake in Monaco, it's during a pit stop. If, like, your team messes up a pit stop. Or it's, like, it's talked about a lot because, like, that's crazy that's happening.
It's crazy town.
So, qualifying, there's a lot of pressure surrounding it for Monaco.
For sure. So we'll go into Q3 and
Q1. Start with Q1. You always switch them.
It makes sense to go 3, 2, 1 because you're going for the first spot.
But it also makes sense to go 1, 2, 3 because you go in order.
No, I understand. I understand. I know there are people out there who agree with me. Q1.
Shout out, hey, in the comments, let us know.
No, there has got to be someone else. If no one steps forward and fesses up, I'm going to be so mad, by the way. Okay, in Q1, it went, Franco went out, Lance went out, Pierre went out, Ollie went out, and Gabby went out. And then we get to the very end of Q1. And Kimi sets his time, he's through, but he hits the wall.
Oh, Kimi. It was, the radio message was so sad.
Heartbreaking. I couldn't listen to it. I could not bring myself to listen to it.
He was like, I'm so sorry. And the team was like, no, it's okay, like, are you okay? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry. They're like, it's okay as long as you're okay. He goes, all right, I'm sorry. Like, dude, stand up, okay? You are a Formula 1 driver. I get you're a rookie, and I get that you're nervous, and you're obviously very young, and it's actually a very normal reaction. I get that.
Yeah,
but, like,
for sure.
Where's your rage? Where's your anger?
It was overtaken by sadness.
I know. I don't want to hear sad Kimmy.
Yeah, no, nobody does.
I'm not cut out for that. It was really sad to listen to.
For sure. And then Q2 starts.
Yeah. So obviously Kimmy got through, but his car wasn't going to be fixed in time.
So he
automatically was in 15.
Yeah. Q2 starts. And the Mercedes bad luck continues because George's engine just stops. Car just stops. Can't do anything. He's in the tunnel too.
It's scary.
It was pretty scary. And then because on at least F1 TV, you heard him come over the radio and being like, you saw the thing and it was like, my car's stopping, like, whatever. And then it's like painting him and he's just like slowing down. I think luckily he was also, obviously the team's control, but he was on the outside of it, so coming in the cars could see them easier versus if he was on the inside, like around the corner. Poor George. He hopped out of the car. The marshals were like, no, you have to get back in.
Are so funny.
Oh my God. No.
They were like, pushing the car at one point, and they knew, one, that they're probably on camera.
Yeah.
Two, that they're touching a Formula One car and like pushing a Formula One car. You could see the smiles on their faces. I'm like, this man just had one of like the worst qualifyings of the year so far. He is devastated right now. And you're sitting there pushing him around like he's in a little wagon smiling.
We're pushing George.
And you know what? I get it.
Oh,
I would cheese it so hard.
Oh my God. I would be, yeah.
But they were adorable. And then like one group was like, and I guess they obviously have like sections that is their section, right? So one group is pushing, and then it obviously like hits a line where it's a new group section, and you just think, oh, let's just like switch, or nope, they completely just let go of the car. The other car group takes over.
Wait, I didn't see that.
No, it was so cute. Like literally, like four men like lined up pushing the car. They stop all at once, and then another group comes and starts pushing. But then the second group is like trying to catch up with the car, and they're like, oh no, and then they're like rushing after it. And then all of them want like a hand on the car, again, just to, I think, be a part of it. So they definitely didn't need that many people because they were pushing it just fine.
Well, also they were about to go downhill, so I think they might have needed that many people.
It was so funny that like one of them just had their hand on it and was running along with it, just put their hand on it.
Oh, no, that'd be me.
And I'd be like, you all are doing great.
Good job,
I'm a part
guys,
of this.
I'm helping.
Yeah, no, it was so, like, they were cheesing so hard.
It was also really funny because George went to go hop out of his car, and he was in the tunnel, so there's not like, there's not the good place for him to walk off to. Mm-hmm. And they were running by, and they're like, get down, sit down.
He was like, he literally was like, what are you why are you screaming at me
why wouldn't I get out? And then he's like sitting kind of not on his halo, but like kind of in the back up there. And then the commentators are like, oh, George Russell's popping down. They realize he's about to go downhill, so he's staying fully in the cockpit of the car.
Yeah, no,
before they could like get into a safe spot to pull over it. But it was not horrible for George Russell, but it was a little funny.
It was, it was bad luck. Mercedes struggled all around this weekend.
Yeah, they were struggling a lot.
So yeah, George obviously is now in 14th. Because he couldn't put a good lap together before that happened.
Yeah, poor Mercedes. Toto just looked fed up with the weekend. Like every time you looked at him.
Yeah.
So then the rest of Q2, Nico Hülkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz, and Carlos Sainz also went out. And the whole time, after Q2 was going on, the commentators want to be like, there's already 2 people out. You don't want to be the other 3 to go out. And they're it's like, come on. Like, we know, but come on.
Yeah.
So then we get to Q1. Crazy town.
Crazy town.
So they go out, they're putting out their first times, and then it's coming to the time when, everybody has their times on the board, and they all go back into the garage, do whatever they do, talk it over, the drivers figuring out where they can get the most out of their lap. And normally they go out with like 2 minutes to do a warm-up lap and then a push lap. And then all of a sudden we see McLaren go out with 4 minutes, and it's like, whoa.
Really, what are we doing here?
I was like, please, because I've seen in the past, sometimes cars go out too early thinking like that's going to be better for them, but the track's just not warmed up at its best. And the people who go very last can get their good times. And I was like, I literally sat there and I was like, I recorded my reaction and I said, oh, don't piss me off. And I was like, I'm already mad. I'm already mad.
Keep in mind as well that this weekend is the same situation with tires as it was last weekend in Imola, where the soft tire that they used last year is this year's medium tire. Yeah. And they have a softer tire for the soft tire this year. That sounded confusing, but you all know what I mean if you watched, the last couple weekends.
Some new stuff.
And because of that, they also didn't really anticipate what the tires were going to do. Mm-hmm. Some of them take a little bit longer to warm up. Some of them were faster on the mediums because of that, because the other soft tires, like, you would lose them before you even get through, like, the full qualifying lap.
Mm-hmm.
So that also left a lot of question marks surrounding qualifying with, like, what tires and how to use them and utilize them during the race.
Yeah. That was really, really well said.
Thank you. Really?
Like, yeah.
Oh.
I was like, what am I listening to, F1 TV?
Well, and I'm, I couldn't pick one. I'm Laura Winters.
Aww. Yeah, so that was a great explanation. So, like we said, around 4 minutes, we see the McLarens go out, and it was like, are we going to be able to pull off 2 push laps? And then I was sitting there, and I was like, well, our tires have been really good at staying cool lately. I think we're going to be able to pull it off, but I wasn't.
Tire water.
Tire water. I wasn't going to say it out loud, though. So then we see everybody go around, and Lando gets provisional pole, but then the cars who are only doing 1 final push lap are going out, and it's, Oscar coming around again for the second time, and it's Charles and Max coming. So Max can't do anything. And then Charles, by like no time, sets provisional pole again. And once again on F1 TV, the times are at the bottom. And I was like, Lando has to be running again.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see Lando's time going. And then all of a sudden, Oscar's time scooches over, and then Lando's time comes through. And
we're like, oh, thank God. Like, because it's hard to tell who was out on a push lap.
Yeah, it is. I also,
if you're not, like, looking at, like, the app, like
an onboard or, like, the tracker. I, famously, like, if you're new here, I have so many superstitions. And one time last year, I watched not Carlos. Where'd that come from? Lando and Oscar's onboards, and they like didn't have the best qualifying, so I was like, I can't watch onboards. Like, I had it like on my TV, and then I pulled it up on my computer, and I was like, no, I'm done from onboards. I can't
do it.
Lando's coming around. He's getting green sectors. I forget which one was purple. One of them was purple. And he takes pole away from Charles. Charles, I'm so sorry. But it was
crazy. Well, because Oscar's good before. Oscar wasn't able to get any better of a time, so he stayed in third. So it was, at the time, it was Charles, Lando, Oscar.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, is Lando going to be able to do it? Is Lando going to be able to do it? Literally, he crosses the line. I'm telling you, I lost my mind. And I think a lot of people, and of course the commentators were like, is he going to take it away from the hometown hero? Is he going to disappoint the hearts of all of Monaco? I'm like, damn, okay, chill out. But yes, he is.
Let him do it. He's having fun.
Yeah, no, seriously. So it was, and it was like literally like time was at 0.
Yeah.
He crossed the line after. It was
beautiful.
It was beautiful. And the lap.
Have you watched the onboard?
I did go watch the onboard.
I did
you
afterwards.
You have to go watch the onboard.
To watch it.
It literally looks like magic.
When he comes out of the tunnel and is going through those chicane, that last part, I have no clue how he didn't hit the barrier.
No.
I genuinely, a little strand of hair from my head, that far away from hitting it. It was like he's driving so, and he doesn't hit it, but he comes by so close to it. You see in slow-mo the barrier shake. That's how close it was to it. Crazy. It was beautiful.
Also, speaking of coming out of the tunnel, how the heck do they see after coming out of the tunnel?
How do they see? I would love to ask that to one of them.
It blinds me through the TV.
Yeah. And I can't, I know their visors help with that, but there's no way they can't for at least, a solid couple seconds.
Well, and they definitely can't with, the sun, too, because at one point during qualifying, who is it? Lance.
Oh, yeah.
They basically are like, hey, let the Alpine, is it the Alpine through?
I think
and
so.
he thought Charles was going by behind him. It was Lance, Charles, and one of the Alpines. I don't know which one. I think it was Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the race engineer told Lance, hey, Charles or Alpine's coming through on a push lap. Make sure you get to the side because he was on an out lap. And Charles goes by. Lance thinks that that's Alpine, and then gets back into the racing line just for Alpine to actually come behind him and almost hit him. And he's like, oh, sorry, I can't see because of the sun. I thought that was the Alpine. First of all, your race engineer should have told you there were 2 cars coming up behind you.
Yeah, why wasn't you told there were 2 cars?
Second of all, the sun. How's that not everyone? How's everyone not doing that? I don't get it.
Maybe they have a better race engineer.
Well. Anyways, qualifying was great.
It was great.
And again, even with Lando getting qualifying, there were still so many unknowns during the race. Because again, the tires and also the mandatory 2-stop. it was hard to know what was going to happen.
Okay, really quick before we get into the race, we do need to talk about both Lance and Ollie got penalties during all of this. Ollie got a penalty which was so harsh. I think in a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah.
There came a red flag out during one of the practice sessions, and Ollie and Carlos were near each other. They're going around a corner. I don't know the names of all of them.
Fake fan. Just kidding, I don't know the names either.
Casino corner. The pool straight. There are so many. Yeah. They all had like Casino Square, actually, sorry. Anyway, so basically what happened is Ollie, you can see in the video, there's a board with displaying the flags. The board is white, green, whatever, I don't remember it is. And Ollie goes to go past Charles because he's going faster than him. Not Charles.
Carlos.
I keep missing up names today. Ollie goes past Carlos. The board has not waved a red flag yet. He is mid-overtake and the flag comes out. And there is literally no room for him to not pass Carlos, there is literally no room for anything. It would have resulted in a crash or something. I don't even know how the FAA wanted them to handle that. But, so he passed Carlos. Oh my God.
Carlos. Are you okay? Do a reset.
No. How?
Take a deep breath. I'll try again.
Ollie passes Carlos.
Thank you.
Technically, yes, under red flag conditions, but once again, what was he supposed to do? So he was awarded a fancy schmancy 10-place grid penalty.
10-place grid penalty. In a Haas. As a rookie.
He's been having some bad... A lot of people went to the webs to theorize that he got this harsher penalty because he spoke out against the FAA last weekend, making the decision for him. The whole deal that happened.
On paper, does that sound crazy? Yes. But in actuality... We've seen other instances where, obviously nothing proven, but we've seen other instances that support this theory that they are harsher against people that speak out against those decisions. Max Verstappen is a perfect example. It's happened to him quite a bit. Yeah. Especially near the end of last year. So, nothing confirmed, but it is suspicious.
It's like that TikTok sound that's like, remember, kids, when they say the government wouldn't do this, oh, yes, they would.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Remember, rookies, would they say the FAA wouldn't do this? Oh, yes, they would.
They would. Because why wouldn't they?
So Ollie's been having a rough triple header. Let's hope Spain goes a little better for him.
Yes.
Lance also got penalties for his situation that we talked about earlier. He was awarded another penalty.
So he was given 2 penalties throughout the weekend. So the first penalty knocked him down to P19, and the next penalty knocked him down again to P19 because Ollie was still technically farther, got more penalties than him.
So Ollie's was 10 total for one incident, and then Lance had a 1-place grid penalty for one incident, and then a 3-place grid penalty for another incident. So Lance technically had less penalties than Ollie, so Ollie's still the P20.
Stayed in 19.
Yeah. And
so
once again, crazy town.
Crazy town.
And that's why sometimes I'm like, oh man, I love this silliness. It's ridiculous.
It's so the whole sport.
I love it. No, it's all ridiculous,
but it's so. As 2 girls who low-key love hearing about drama.
Love the drama,
and we love to talk about drama.
Oh yeah.
Well, Formula 1 and motorsport in general.
Perfect. It's
sport
literally perfect.
It's perfect.
All right, should we get into the race?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Race is starting.
First lap.
I'm closing my eyes. I'm a little scared.
First lap is always scary. Keep in mind, to put things into perspective.
Yes.
F2 and the Porsche Carrera Cup, right?
It was one of the Porsche. I don't think it was Carrera Cup.
Oh, there was a Porsche race, and in that same weekend, as one of the support series, and F2 was there. Both of those races, first lap,
insane,
was mayhem.
Specifically,
the Porsche race was a full pile up to where no cars could even get through the track because there were so many cars piled up.
Yeah.
But in F2, in the opening lap on that first corner, our little buddy, what is his name? Alex Dunn?
Alex Dunn. It is Dunn. We talked about it yesterday.
Dunn.
We had been saying it wrong.
Alex Dunn.
Apologies.
Sorry, Alex. Alex Dunn. They're saying it's his fault.
I think
it is his fault.
Yeah.
Completely took out, Victor Martins. And on the first corner, it caused mayhem around. It caused a pretty big pile up. It was obviously a red flag. Had to get cleaned up. Chaos, right? Funniest interaction afterwards.
Hilarious. I think it was Victor and Pepe, right?
Yeah. Victor and Pepe were talking afterwards. They both were fired up about the situation. Was Pepe taken out as well from the crash?
I didn't end up watching the race. I'm not too sure.
Okay. All I know is Pepe was just as mad.
No, yeah, they're both like...
I don't know if Pepe was just mad for his friend or if he also got taken out. I don't know the details. But Victor was pissed. And he said something along the lines of, I can't do a French accent and I'm not going to try, but he said something along the lines of, this guy thinks he's Max Verstappen.
What, does he think he's Max Verstappen?
Yeah, no, that's right. Wait, do it again.
Wait, I can't. It's not going to feel... Wait, hold on. What, does he think he's Max Verstappen? It was... Yeah. No, it was so...
Max is like, why am I catching strays? What the hell did I do?
What did I do? He said, I am Max Verstappen.
I am Max Verstappen. It was chaos.
It was chaos. That interaction was funny. Alex didn't mean it.
Nah.
I stand with my canceled child.
Yeah. But because of that, those two races starting in chaos did lead us to be a little nervous for the beginning of the Formula One race. In general, Monaco. Sorry?
We both were just trying to get something out.
You go for it.
Last year, the beginning with like the
we were trying to say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, good. Just the incident last year, that was insane. Yeah. The red flag lasted for, I think, like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were on our way to the Indy 500 last year as we were sitting there through the red flag. And our Uber driver was like, wow, you all really like race cars. And we were like, yeah. So yeah, we were nervous for chaos. Uh-huh. So we went in nervous. We're watching the first lap. We're pretty big Gabby Bortoletto fans. And he does a beautiful overtake during the first lap. Mm-hmm. And we're all like, oh my gosh, good job, Gabby. Great job. Keep up the work.
We're like, is that Gabby or home? We're like, it's Gabby.
Yeah. And then like 2 corners later.
No, not even. Like barely.
In the wall.
If you'd like to see that reaction, it's on our TikTok.
It is.
It's so funny.
Yeah. In the wall from Kimmy. Rookie on rookie crime.
Rookie on rookie crime. It's not necessary.
Yeah. But we were like, oh my gosh, like he's out. He's completely out. Nah, he just kept it going.
No, it literally was
all of a sudden it like moves back to a green flag and you just see him inching along. He gets back to the pits. He did it.
No, it was
he made it back.
Well, he still ended like P20.
Well,
he kept driving. Technically, I guess P17 or whatever. But also in the very beginning, Lando locks up and I just was like,
oh my god.
Oh, it's over. But he recovers flawlessly, and he didn't lose.
He loses, he locks up in both of his front wheels. Yeah. He basically just, cuts it too close with his braking on that first corner. It looked like, 1, that Charles was going to overtake him, and 2, it looked like that he was going straight into the wall. He didn't.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
He saved it. Even, in the cool-down room, Oscar was like, I thought you were gone, man. I was like, oh, there goes Lando.
It was so funny.
But he recovers. After that scary incident, he does get a pretty good start from it. And he builds up a bit of a gap. Now, again, with the 2-stop requirement, there was a lot of different strategies that people could have taken with this. Because ideally, in Monaco, the speeds, if you put on the right tire in past years, technically you probably don't even need 1 pit stop for the whole race. Yeah. You can start and stop on the same amount of tires. Because it's all downhill, you're not putting too much wear on your tires from it. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously normally that 1-stop requirement that you have to have 2 different types of tire compounds on your car. But with this race, there's a 2-stop requirement, still only needing at least 2 tire compounds. So there's a lot of different ways that they could go about strategies. Some people are like, just do 1 lap, take a pit stop, change tires, do another lap, pit stop tires.
That's a lot of people are saying just Ollie and Lance should do that.
Yeah, because they were in the back. So far behind. They have nothing to lose at that point. But the other issue with that is that ideally the perfect time to take a pit stop for a requirement, if you don't have to actually change tires, you're just trying to get the requirement out of the way, would be during a safety car or a red flag, obviously.
And some people did in the very beginning when the yellow came out. the VSC came out for Pierre, so I'm jumping ahead.
Right.
So Pierre, what happened? You remember?
So yeah, Pierre had an incident where he was heading down one of the hill parts, and he just completely lost his brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, if you're gonna lose your brakes anywhere, you don't want it to be in Monaco, because like it's all downhill. So if you don't have brakes, you just kind of have to keep going. You just kind of have to keep rolling through, which is an issue that George was facing whenever his car cut out. The reason why he didn't stop before the tunnel, which would be most drivers would have the common sense to stop before the tunnel, is because he couldn't stop the car. And when he was in the tunnel, it was like, okay, this is where my car is stopping.
Yeah.
So Pierre lost his brakes, and there was a point where it was getting to like the end of the hill right before one of the chicanes. Yuki, very normal, pushes on the brakes to take that turn, but there wasn't enough room in the gap between Yuki and the wall for Pierre to squeeze through and go cut the chicane, basically because he has no brakes, so he obviously couldn't take the chicane turn. So because of that, his left front tire pops up over the back of Yuki's tire. Yuki's pissed, by the way. Yuki doesn't know what's going on. He thought it was just Pierre being a bad race car driver, but Pierre had no brakes. Obviously, I'm sure they had that conversation afterwards. I'm sure they're fine. But he pops over, he lands. Luckily, like, no one goes, like, airborne, which can happen quite often when you have a tire over a tire situation. And his tire is just hanging off.
It looks so funny.
It was so funny. And his wing is, like, completely destroyed. His front wing is completely destroyed. So he did have to retire from the race because of that. It was pretty bad damage. But that did cause a safety car.
It wasn't a full
virtual safety car, and that caused a lot of people to take their first pit stop.
Yeah. This was also another situation where on F1 TV, we're following other people, and then we see pop up, like, yellow flag in a sector, and it's like, it didn't take long, but it took long enough where I was like, what's going on? Why aren't they showing this?
That's, like, the one thing with, like, motorsport versus any other sport.
Yeah.
Is that, like, any other sport, I guess other than, like, cross-country, I don't know, people are in the habit of watching cross-country professionally, but you can, like, and, like, football and basketball and soccer, you see the whole thing. You see the whole court. You see what's going on. So even if something is happening on the opposite side of the field, I guess if you're watching on TV, sometimes not, but, like, you can see it happening.
Yeah.
But like, motorsport, like, the incident could be happening a mile away from you and you wouldn't even know.
I also I don't know, I was more confused. I was like, why haven't we thrown to the yellow flag that's happening? And even the commentators like, yellow flag, it's looking like on our tractor, like Pierre, or tracker, Pierre, whatever, and for a second I was like, why are we taking so long to throw to the incident to see what is happening?
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. It's taking long. I was just confused. It was long enough where I was confused, which I feel like it should happen quicker, or pop up a picture-in-picture.
Picture-in-picture. No. That should be utilized more. Formula One TV, if you have any, if you're taking any advice, utilize more picture-in-picture, and utilize bigger picture-in-picture. Because sometimes you only do, like, a little tiny picture in the, like, tower, timing tower. Just mess around and put it in, like, the right corner or something. Bigger picture-in-picture.
Please.
Just a tip.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
That's my only. Yeah.
But, so a lot of people took their pit stops there.
Yeah, they did.
Throughout the whole race, I mean, as far as, like, with pit cycles and pit rotations, it truly stayed Lando, Charles, Oscar throughout the whole race. But with the pit stops happening, there was obviously a majority of the time that Max was leading, because in the situation, Max, again, didn't need to take 2 pit stops. No one really needed 2 pit stops. So he took his first pit stop, and then for, like, the last, like, 20 laps of the race.
It's so long.
Max was leading, and he was struggling with tires, but he was basically holding out to see if a red flag would happen. Yeah. Where he could take his, or even a virtual safety car or safety car. Yeah. Where he could take his pit stop and hopefully not lose the lead. That was really his only advantage.
He was literally just hoping for an instant to happen.
Yes. Which in Monaco, it could have very much happened. So while we're nervous near the end, not that Charles was necessarily going to overtake Lando, which it was a little nervous because he was getting close. But more so nervous that something else in the back of the grid that was completely out of Lando or McLaren's control would happen, would allow Max to make a pit stop and keep the lead.
Yeah. Which also, Max was wearing his tires and he was slowing down because of that. He was probably also could have been intentionally slowing down too a bit. And that, like, that allowed Charles to build his gap to get
it pushed Lando back.
It pushed Lando back. It pushed Charles forward, closer to Lando. And then by the end of it, Oscar then was right there too. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I literally was like, Max, I love you so much. Please just pit.
Get out of the way.
Please get out of the way.
Yeah, because Lando basically could have been right up next to Max, but he wanted to save space in between him and Max because he didn't want to be driving in dirty air.
Yeah.
And so because he was keeping that gap between him and Max, but Max was going slower than Lando could go, Charles was catching up to Lando, and that caused Lando to be like, hey, team, where's Oscar? Because I need Oscar to basically keep Charles busy.
Put Charles under pressure.
Back there. Put him under pressure so that he stops worrying about overtaking me and starts worrying about defending against Oscar. So eventually Oscar does catch up because, again, Max is holding everyone back. And I will say when Max does eventually pit with like 2 laps to go, maybe even 1 lap to go, Lando pulls away completely, builds a 3-second gap.
In 1 lap.
He was like hovering at one point, like when there were maybe like 10 laps to go, it was like 0.6 seconds
it was so
away,
close.
like Charles away from Lando. And then by the time Max pitted, Lando built it up to like 1.3 or something. By the time Max did eventually fully pit and Lando was basically able to take off without any dirty air, he literally built the gap up within 1 lap.
1 lap.
2-3 seconds.
Yeah. And
which just showed that he had the pace the whole time.
Max Verstappen was just in his way.
Yeah. Another thing is that there were so many issues with lapped traffic because there were so many there was so much lapping going on, and they were also struggling where a lot of the drivers across the board were complaining that they weren't showing enough blue flags, which blue flags are basically the flags saying, hey, the person behind you is on the lap above you, let them through, because that is a rule in Formula 1 versus IndyCar. You don't have to let them pass, but in Formula 1 you have to let them pass. You're supposed to see the blue flag as long as it's in a safe spot to pass. You can see the blue flag, and they weren't showing those. And I do think it is because there just aren't as many safe places to pass in the Monaco grid, that like when you do hit lap traffic, it's so much harder to get past them. Even if they are letting you go, there's still not a lot of great areas for that.
Really quick before we start talking about the back of the grid and holding people up, not to fall for rage bait, but so many people were like posting Lando's thing where he was like, where's Oscar? I need him to help with Charles. Like, if you genuinely, there are so many people that were like, there were some people who were like joking about it, but there was one person that was like, why can't Lando do this on his own? If you don't like, let's think a little bit. I don't want to sound mean, but let's think a little bit. He was right there up in Max, and there's no way he could pass Max. Of course he needed help to put pressure on Charles.
At the end of the day, like, Formula 1, it's an individual sport, but it's a team game too.
It is a team game.
We saw that a lot with other teams, including Williams.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Carlos and Alex, one thing about them is they're going to be working as a team.
No, they will.
And one thing about Carlos is he's going to be strategizing in the car.
For sure.
When, because he's not going to race forever, when Carlos ever retires from Formula 1, that man, we say it all the time that he's going to be a team principal one day, but he would be a fantastic race engineer or strategist or anything, because he thinks about things when he's in the car. You see it many times. A perfect example would be Singapore in 2023, when they're like, hey, like, Lando is right behind you in DRS, and he's like, yeah, I know, I'm doing that on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's the point.
I know.
And that man's just a genius.
So good. But before the Williams did this, towards the end-ish of the race, Racing Bulls did it. And so basically what was happening is the teammates were working together that were next to each other. So like Isaac and Liam were next to each other. Alex and Carlos and George and Kimmy were all next to each other on the grid. And the people were also theorizing about this. They were slowing... Oh, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. They were slowing it down so basically their teammate could get the free pit stop, and then they would switch. The other teammate would slow down so they could get the free pit stop, and then they would do up. So they were... Genius.
I mean, and it's not what people want to see in Formula 1. Like, that's not the racing that we want to see. But if they're given, like, silly requirements, like a 2-stop for Monaco, and they have to do that, like, we're going to use our team for an advantage. It doesn't hurt either of us.
There's no
it
rule
helps both of us. And there's no rule against it. But because, again, like, Monaco is almost impossible to overtake, so Liam can go as slow as he wants and allow Isaac to get into a pit stop and get back out without losing a place. Same goes vice versa. Now, Liam and Isaac didn't switch. Like,
no, they didn't.
Liam just did it for Isaac because Isaac was the lead car versus, like, Williams, they switched and allowed both of them to do it.
Yeah.
But at one point, I think it was... Yeah, it was Liam, right?
It was Liam.
Liam was like, what are they doing? Like, this is after...
This was after
his team basically told him to slow down.
They did that, and then his engineer came over and was like, okay, car behind is science, no longer Albon, it's science. And then Liam goes, why's that? And then his engineer was like, I forget what his engineer said, but
his engineer literally was like, they're doing it to slow them down so that they can basically get a free pit stop. And me and Gracie looked at each other and we're like, does Liam not realize that his team told him and basically
did he not know he was
do the same thing? And he does not realize, like, we're like, oh, buddy.
You were bait. Not in, like, a negative way, but yeah, helped you too.
I mean, at one point, we were like, I think one of the commentators literally were like, yeah, they are literally, like,
doing what you just did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It worked really well with the Williams. Because Alex was the lead car. Carlos held everyone back, allowed Alex to take his pit stop. Alex held everyone back, allowed Carlos to take a pit stop. So Carlos was in the lead. And then eventually they're like, okay, swap back. And then Carlos was like, let's wait a little bit, see what happens. But eventually...
I think there was it happened so a car that hadn't pit was in between them.
Yeah.
So it was like Carlos was 9, I think it might have been George.
Yeah.
Whoever was 10, and then...
Well, because George hadn't taken his penalty yet.
Oh, yeah. And then Alex was 11. So Carlos was like, let's wait. And he was like, Alex will end P9, like... You know,
yeah, he's like, we're going to wait. Let's wait. But he'll still NP9. Don't worry. Like, I have every intention to give the place back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's wait to see what happens. And he did. He did give the place back. Should we talk about George's?
Yeah, we need to talk about how, first of all, George's penalties. Second of all, George's impatience. Well, it should be George's impatience against Alex that gave him the penalties.
Yeah. So,
because they were being held back, George, I think, was just like, he came over and was like, this is dangerous speed. Like, we need to be going quicker. George's like, this is not how we go racing. And even everybody was like, this is not how we go racing, but this is what we're doing to get our points. And if you remember from qualifying, the Mercedes were out of the points. They haven't been running that all year. They've been doing really good. So I think everybody was a little frustrated over at Mercedes wanting to get these points. So they're coming around after the tunnel. They're coming around these chicanes. George jumps it. He said, no.
George said, actually, I'm just going to go around on my... A lot of people were frustrated about Williams' strategy with, switching back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
But again... There is technically nothing against the rules, and if they're going to be given these weird-ass requirements, they have to get creative, and that's like what's going to set them.
Game, I feel like.
It is. Like, that's the whole point. Like, a whole thing in Formula One is getting around requirements that are given to them by the FIA and still finding those loopholes, and they found the loophole, and everyone's mad that Williams found it before they did.
Yeah.
And George included was mad, and it is probably a little bit dangerous for them to be driving so slow on the track,
sure.
especially all downhill. Bunched up, but because of that was George's I guess, like, rebuttal.
Yeah, he was like, no, I don't. He was fed up. And that's so fair, honestly. I think I probably would have done the same thing. And then I think he was probably thinking, whatever, I'll take the penalty for this, or I'll take the penalty for this, and then hopefully I can make up somewhere and, like, still be in the points. But he ended up getting a drive-through penalty instead of just a 5-second.
Yes. So we got a drive-through penalty.
Yeah. And
then later, Kimmy did do the same thing, and they were like, Kimmy, give the place back. Because we just saw what happened with George. And then didn't George get another drive-through penalty?
Yeah, George got another penalty, and also Mercedes, I think, forgot about the double penalty.
No, even Toto literally said...
Was that real?
I don't know. I swear... People are saying...
I couldn't tell if it was like a Formula Fakers thing.
I'm almost positive it was real.
Okay.
I don't know, though. But, like, he literally was, like, admitted afterwards. He's like, yeah, we forgot about the second, like, drive-through penalty.
It was, like, 78 laps, and we were at lap 60, and neither of the Mercedes had pit. Which, once again, goes to show, I don't know if you really have to pit in Monaco.
No, I really don't. I think you could get through the whole race on a set of hard tires.
Yeah.
For sure.
So then George also did his first pit stop and didn't take the penalty.
Yeah, no, I was like, why is he not doing it?
And then his engineer came over and was like, we're going to delay this as long as possible. And George goes, I prefer not to speak right now.
Yeah, he was mad.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, afterwards it was fine. Like, it was between him and Alex, their best friends.
Yeah, they're fine.
And even the commentators were like, oh, I guess Alex is buying dinner. And then sure enough, like, a couple hours after the race ended, I think George tweeted a photo of Alex, like, holding up the bill at dinner and was like, so they're fine. They got over it. Again, but it was tragic. But,
oh my gosh.
You know who's probably not fine? Is James Vowels and Toto Wolff.
Oh, no.
Because history behind James Vowels is he used to work for Mercedes as a race engineer. He's worked, Williams and Mercedes have worked closely together for many years. They're in a technical alliance, correct? Mm-hmm. But they've always worked closely together. I always associate, like, James, when Toto Wolff is arguing something, I assume James Vowels is in his corner. Similar to, like, not as closely, but similar to Red Bull and VCARB. Mm-hmm. But some words were exchanged after the race. No one knows what words were exchanged.
You can hear slightly, but you can't hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
But
you can
James Vowels is on the ground, boots on the ground in the pit lane.
Boots on the ground in the pit lane.
Toto is, like, up in the Mercedes. I don't know if I think maybe hospitality or where their pit is. Mm-hmm. They are shouting at each other.
Like, hands, fingers in the air.
It's
shouting at each other.
So
funny.
And
everyone's like, Toto was just mad that James thought of the strategy first.
Oh, absolutely. And then everybody was like, Toto, remember who he was. Valtteri, it's James.
Yep.
Like, you have got to remember.
You
literally
taught James. You, like, nurtured James into the person
that he is
now. James Vowels. I have conflicted feelings about
Mixed
that man
emotions.
Because he is so well spoken and he's normally has the right opinion about things, a lot of things, about social injustices in Formula One, and he's really outspoken and he's a great advocate for a lot of things. But damn, he is cutthroat. And it's very much so like that, most of the Formula One drivers' mentality where they're like, we can be a good person and friendly and nice and a team player outside of the track all day. When I'm in the track, I'm cutthroat. And he's very much like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, this is the strategy that's going to work and I'm going to do it. And the fact that Toto was mad about it, I think is silly. Because if Toto was truly mad about it, take it to the FIA, take it to the next drivers' meeting and make the changes. But again, Toto would have done it too because Toto was also cutthroat on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. He's just upset that he didn't think of it first and that his drivers probably weren't having the best weekend. Lots of emotions building up, and then they were shouting at each other in the pit lane. It was funny.
It was funny.
It was silly. It was funny.
I would love to know what they said.
You're
telling me not one person was recording during that?
I mean, there is a recording, but you just can't really hear. You can just hear shouts.
Yeah.
Crazy town.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, should we get to the end of the race?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like we said, Max waited until the very last lap to pit, and then Lando took it away, and Lando got his very first win in Monaco. Yay! And, like, as a huge Lando fan and McLaren fan, I feel like the momentum is coming back for Lando. He had such a strong weekend, and it's just very exciting. And now him and Oscar, they were neck and neck before, but they're literally 3 points away in the championship. So in the driver's standings, first is Oscar with 161 points. Second is Lando with 158 points. Third is Max with 136 points. And then George Russell is fourth with 99 points. And then Charles is right there with, not right there. Charles has 79 points.
79, like, Charles in fifth with 79 points to Oscar 161.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like, that's a lead that it's going to take a couple of races, basically. And, like, McLaren is, like, at this point in their, like, they are the dominant team, obviously.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a little bit last year, but a lot this year where they're now, like, having to, basically, the fans and everyone is calling on them to pick a number one driver. But they're not going to, and I don't think they need to. I don't think they should because both of their drivers are strong and both of their drivers have the potential to win a driver's championship.
Yeah, for sure.
And both of them deserve it. So for them to pick one team or like one person over the other, it doesn't make sense at all. Let them race. They've obviously proven many times that they can race cleanly.
Yeah.
If someone qualifies first, okay, give them the advantage in that race specifically. But don't, like, let them race out. If it doesn't require them to work as a team, let them just race it out because they can do it.
A lot of people that I saw on social media were confused about, like, I guess they're like how they pit Oscar, maybe. I'm not too sure what the whole confusion was, but I feel like two things that we need to remember from Monaco is that this order was not changing.
Yeah.
And the order was not going to change. We know how important qualifying is. The mandatory two-stop did not matter. And also McLaren favors the driver in that race, like we just said, who's ahead.
Yep.
And like it's like we saw in like Hungary or Monza. Is Monza the right word? It sounded so weird when I said it out loud. I don't know. My brain's just not working. That like whoever, gets ahead. I think we heard in Hungary that it was after that first pit stop cycle, whoever came out ahead, whatever, was who they're going to prioritize because they were 1-2. We saw it in Hungary. And then Oscar ended up with that overtake on Lando. Flawless. And then it was like, okay, we're going to prioritize Oscar. Charles ended up winning. That's fine. But it happens every time. The driver who's up ahead is going to get the priority. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, Oscar's leading the championship. Why aren't we prioritizing him? It's like, there's not much Oscar could have done in Monaco. I'm so sorry.
And also, there's so many races left. We are not even halfway through.
We're not even a fourth of the way through. Actually, we might have just hit a fourth.
I think we did just
We just hit a fourth of the way through these races.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many left. It's going to go down to the wire for them. And
I kind of hope it happens in Vegas.
No, I do too.
Because while we don't have plans to go to Vegas, we're probably going to end up in Vegas. Hopefully.
We have plans in here.
We have plans in here.
We have plans in here in our hearts.
But like, it would be so cool.
They're going to let them go down to the end, and unless something like monumentally goes bad, there's a high chance it's them. And then also, like, I feel like Max will be up there with them too for a while. But why don't we want it to go down to the end? Hello?
Hello?
The past few years, like, I mean, last year was really good, but the past years before that, that's fun.
It's fun. And that's what we want. That's what Formula One fans want. They want them to race it out. Let them race it out.
And also, it was all over Twitter. We were giggling about it. People were like, if McLaren hates Oscar and McLaren also hates Lando, who do they love? And then they were like, if Zach Brown favors Lando and Zach Brown favors Oscar, then who's driving the bus?
Who's driving the bus is so real.
Funny. And like, and I've said this before, there is no need to throw out a conspiracy theory after every race. And I'll say it, Lando girlies, Lando fans, you all love to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not hating on you all, but there is no need to do it.
No need. Because Lando doesn't need you to do it either. Lando is a good race car driver.
He's a great race car driver.
And he can win without the conspiracy theories.
No,
there's nobody worried. There are also, keep in mind, there are two different sides of the garage. There are two different strategists. There are two different race engineers. Like, they have their team. Obviously, like, Tom is going to do everything that he can for Oscar. Same thing with on Lando's side of the garage. Like, that's not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's not needed. And then I saw some Oscar fans do it. It's like, you guys, it's not necessary. And also,
let's go back to can't we be a happy family again?
No, like, it's so hard.
Remember last year how great it was when all of the McLaren fans were unified, and it was like Charles and Carlos fans going at each other.
Yes,
and I'm like, oh, that must be horrible.
Suck.
And I'm like, this isn't good.
Like, you don't have. I don't care. You don't have to like both of them. Like, we were just living in a good little harmony last year.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Oh yeah. First of all, I'm gonna be so honest. If like the team was screwing over Lando or something, I don't think that man has it in him to bite his tongue. He does not. I don't think Oscar does either.
Also, if the team was screwing over Lando or screwing over Oscar, they could be doing a better job of it because they're still 1-2 in the championship. Like, if they really were trying to screw one of them over, if that's your conspiracy theory that they're pushing one of them out of the team or something along those lines, they're doing a shit job.
They're doing a horrible job at it. Let's just put on our thinking caps. You know what? Hey guys, it's okay. We'll be the ones here to remind you. We can do it. We can do a check-in maybe every once a month.
Yeah, check-in.
It's
go touch necessary. Grass maybe.
Yeah.
Like, sounds harsh, but go touch grass. Yeah. It's not that deep.
Sometimes it's okay to get off of Twitter and let's form our own opinions. It's easy to like get caught up in it.
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, I never get caught up in it where I'm like, oh my God, they're sabotaging Oscar.
Yeah. And Gracie famously loves spreading rumors.
No, like within our friend group, it's
harmless.
Funny.
They're harmless. But for her to be saying this, it's true.
No, yeah, for sure. And I also love Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's so silly sometimes, and then sometimes you guys go and piss me off.
There's very few times where I'm like, Gracie, did you see this tweet? She's like, yeah, I saw that like 3 days ago. I'm like, okay.
I love Twitter. It's so funny sometimes. So, yeah, we got that out of the way.
Thank God. Anything else about Monaco? We need to do our pops and
problems. Our champagne pops and problems. Who are you going to give your champagne pop to?
My champagne pop. Lando.
Yeah, it's going to Lando.
It's got to go to Lando. And you know who else I'm going to give it to? Who? Isaac.
That's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for saying that. Weekend. Isaac has more points scored in his first ever season, rookie season, than both Liam and Yuki combined. He's having a phenomenal rookie season. I'm
getting chills.
And like,
I love Isaac so much. Isaac
truly
is going to be so good. I do wonder what is going to happen with Red Bull next year.
I'm really scared Yuki's not going to get a seat.
Scared. Well, and also you got to consider that Honda's not going to be with Red Bull next year. And Honda backs Yuki a lot. I don't know if that's going to be taken into consideration. But if Isaac keeps performing as he is, are they going to put Isaac in there? Are they going to keep Isaac in VCARB and not jump the gun? Because it still may be too soon.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But if they wait too long, there's a chance Isaac gets snapped up by another team.
It's so... I couldn't deal with that stress.
He is so talented.
So talented.
I keep getting chills thinking about how good he is. He's just he's this little boy, and he's my son. And I feel legitimately like a proud big sister when he does good.
Yeah.
And I just think he's going to have such a good career.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think like going in, a lot of people were like, because they saw, his radio messages, and then they saw like
he's funny
F2,
as hell.
And then like, him getting P2, and then people were also like, not like,
I think a lot of people counted him out.
They did count him out, for sure.
He was the very last one to be announced. He almost didn't even have a seat. There was so much hype around Ollie and so much hype around Kimmy that even though like Gabby and Isaac were the ones leading the championship, going back and forth for F2, I think they were the two that were the least hyped up.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because Kimmy obviously was hyped up around Mercedes. Mm-hmm. Ollie, while he went to Haas, he did the Ferrari. He worked very close with Ferrari. He did the Ferrari races last year. He did really good in them.
Yeah.
That, like, obviously they were the two that everyone had their eyes on. Jack's been with Alpine and in the Formula One paddock for so long that people anticipated his, him joining, and then also with the drama with Franco coming in, like the Franco-Jack conversation happening before the season even started. People often didn't talk about Gabby and Isaac, and while I think Gabby's had a really rough start to the season, he's still in a Sauber. I still think that, like, VCARB is a good car, but it's not one of the top cars, but Isaac is legitimately, like, up there in, like, the top very often, like, top 10 very often. Yeah. He's getting amazing points. He's making it to Q3. Well.
Yeah.
Like, almost.
I think he made it to Q3 every race.
Every race?
I think so.
A rookie in a VCARB.
Yeah.
Again, not a horrible car, but it's not one of the top ones.
He's just doing so
well. And when you
well.
compare it to his teammate, too, both Yuki and Liam in the VCARB as well, he is outperforming them.
Yeah, he's outperforming them.
So what does that mean for his future?
I don't know. I hope good things.
I hope really good things.
I really hope good things.
While I love Isaac and I want him to get a chance to perform in the Red Bull,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. While I love Isaac and I want him to get the chance to perform in a Red Bull, I'm scared because I'm scared of Red Bull.
Well, yeah. Famously scared.
But it would be interesting to see what him and Max can do together.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But then again, also, 2026, new regulations, everything's out the window. Maybe they don't move him up. Maybe
they wait a year.
Yeah, Yuki in the car for a year. Figure out where the regulations puts them in the grid and then makes a determination that way.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm really scared for Yuki. I know I've already said it, but...
It feels like summer break is so far away, but it's really not that far away.
No, I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, man.
Because when does it start? At the end of June? It's always around my birthday.
I thought like the... Yeah.
Like end of June is when it ends.
Because Zandvoort is usually like the last weekend of August.
Scary. Okay, back to your champagne pop.
Oh, yeah, my champagne pop is Lando.
Okay, perfect.
Like once I said again. Perfect. Like I said earlier, like you feel that momentum back.
Yep. Absolutely. Champagne problem?
Alpine.
Alpine. Okay.
I don't know. They're just like doing a lot.
They are doing a lot.
They've had a lot happen. They're doing a lot. I think that they maybe thought Franco was going to do a little better than he did, maybe. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting.
I'm still so confused what's going to happen after these last 5 races. Is Jack coming back? Is Franco staying? Are they putting in Paul Aaron?
Yeah, what is going to happen? That's another one that we just don't know what to expect with them. I'm giving my champagne problem to Mercedes / Ollie.
The horrors of a triple header. For
and
Ollie.
We have one more to go.
No, we have one more to go.
So Spain is this weekend. Yeah. We won't be able to watch qualifying.
Oh, yeah.
But we will be watching the race.
Oh, while you chat, I'm going to check to see what time qualifying is. Go ahead.
Because we'll be in a wedding this weekend.
Yeah.
But we will be watching Spain, so we will still do a full race recap and a review on that. We'll probably watch qualifying, like highlights, just to kind of give a good recap of it. But, and then that's the third one of the triple header.
Yeah.
And then we get a bit of a break until Canada, correct?
Yeah.
So we get a week off. 1 week off? Yeah, just 1 week off. And then Canada, because Canada's the same weekend as Le Mans.
Yeah.
Which we're super excited about. A lot of big stuff happening. So
much is happening.
Also this week we have the Indy 500 episode coming out. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for that. Next week is the Spain episode, also the Detroit IndyCar race. Mm-hmm. Week after that is Le Mans. And it's Le Mans. Oh, no. Detroit isn't this week.
Detroit is this week.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's a break. And the same weekend as Le Mans, it's also Canada. And it's also Gateway.
Yeah, St. Louis for IndyCar.
They need a calendar.
Why? There's one right behind you.
Oh, yeah. I need to use it.
I know so many IndyCar drivers themselves spoke out about this. Why are there races the same weekend as Le Mans?
Yeah, no, imagine how many more Formula One drivers and IndyCar drivers would participate in Le Mans if it was open.
I doubt Formula One because I think in their contracts they're not allowed to, but IndyCar drivers, I don't know, it makes no sense. It's huge. Le Mans is huge. Also,
and it would bring in new viewers to Le Mans.
It would. If you're sitting here and you haven't watched Le Mans, please watch it. It is a 24-hour endurance race. We'll probably do a full episode on Le Mans.
It's so good.
A lead up into it. Oh my gosh, it is just so much fun.
I don't cry during the end of races. I think I cried when McLaren got the Constructors' Cup a little bit. That was it, right? I'm not at the end of Le Mans, because we watched majority of it.
Yeah. I
literally sat there. These people have been racing nonstop for 24 hours. They're obviously tired, emotional, and it's the biggest race to win. It's huge. It's crazy to win it. It was Ferrari that won. It was Ferrari, what is it? AF Corsa. They won. I'm not even a Ferrari fan. I saw them react to winning. I had tears streaming down my face. It was beautiful. Guys, if there's one thing that I'm glad about branching out away from just Formula 1 and IndyCar with motorsport, it is finding Le Mans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Daytona. I love a 24-hour long race.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. And so much can happen. And it's one of those races, it's literally 24 hours long, so it's very much so you could get pole, anything could happen.
Oh, truly.
Anything. So I recommend you watching Le Mans. Mm-hmm. If you have questions about it and you aren't sure, ask me. This is only our second year watching it, so we don't know everything. We're still figuring things out. We were kind of clueless watching it last year, and we still had a great time. So I'm excited for this year where we actually kind of know what's going on. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Was last year our first year watching?
Yeah. First year watching.
I feel like I have been back to watching motorsports for so many years, but it really since 2023, but yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's our Le Mans rant. We had a couple rants going on this
episode. A lot of rants, actually. Sorry, guys.
It's needed.
If you're still here and you haven't already commented about getting confused over Q1, Q2, Q3, vice versa, go ahead and leave us a comment. Let us know if you're going to watch Le Mans. Let us know if you have any questions about Le Mans.
Mm-hmm. And leave your favorite emoji in the comment.
Yeah, leave a fun little emoji.
The sunglasses emoji.
Cool guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and
make sure to check out our Indy 500 episode.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
It was a chaotic race.
Yeah. So it'll be out tomorrow if you're watching this day of posting. Yeah. And we'll be back for some more race recaps.
Bye. Bye.